Guys, Brian Hilliard here, author of the best-selling book Networking Like a Pro and creator of the popular program How to Expand Your Reach, Impact More Lives, and Get Your Message Out to a wider audience. Now today we are going to tackle one of my favorite subjects, which is the money conversation. Yes, the enrollment discussion. And we've all been there before. You're talking to somebody and you're making a lot of sense and they're writing all these notes and you're making more sense and they're writing notes and you're like this and they're like that and you're thinking to yourself, this is awesome and it's going to be great. I'm going to get a paying client out of this. This is going to be awesome. And then the money part comes up and we know what that looks like, right? What happens is we start feeling a little nervous. Things start feeling a little awkward. You can tell that they're getting a little nervous. Somebody who was perfectly fine literally 30 seconds ago all of a sudden is acting a little bit weird. That's making you more nervous, which is making them more nervous. And it just goes on from there. And sometimes you get declined and sometimes you don't. But either way, what happens is you have an experience that is, let's just say, less than desirable. So what we're going to talk about here today is what you want to be able to do to enroll people into your practice and do so in a way that's not pushy, salesy, or otherwise over the top. And it obviously starts and it's inside of this enrollment conversation. All right. Now, one of the things I want to say right off the bat is that it's totally fine if somebody says, oh, you know what, I need to be able to think about this, or I need to be able to talk to my spouse about this, or, this sounds good, but I need to, go over here and do something like this or do something else first. Like conceptually, just so you know, that's totally fine. All right. Now, you're like, Brian, that's interesting to hear you say, because I would think that you would want to get a decision as soon as possible. You do. And just because you want to get a decision as soon as possible does not make it mutually exclusive with, and it's bad that they need to think about it or can't, need to spend some time on it. Those are not mutually exclusive. All right. Here's what we want to do. What we want to do is get a better understanding of why and what it is, first of all, and then maybe sometimes why, but what it is that they're looking at. And I got to tell you, I didn't used to think of it this way. Taylor Welch, sales mentor, he's the one who got me doing this. I took a course. And in the training, he's like, listen, there are people who it's part of their process to think about it. It's part of their process to talk to their spouse. It's part of their process not to make a decision right there on the spot. You have to respect that, okay? And what I say, and I was talking with a client about this today, is that you have to give people a little bit of space, all right, to be able to make that decision. So one of the things that we talk about is this idea of let's run you through the scenario, all right? So let's say that somebody that you've talked with them, you're taking, just like I said, they're taking notes, doing all this good stuff. You give them the, stuff and they say, yeah, you know what, this sounds good, but I need to think about it. Okay, so Taylor talks about working through objections versus working, I gotta handle objections. No. We're just gonna work through them and understand them because we also recognize that change and growth is not always a straight line endeavor. And even though the person might want to be better in their life or be better in their business or be better at their job, their ego mind sometimes tries to hijack the plane. And they're like, oh, well, I need to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to be able to work through these objections. So the first thing I ask is, okay, that sounds good. Is there anything else? Like that's the first thing I ask. Okay, and so they might say something else. If you don't ask that, then you can just it turns into a whack-a-mole game. You don't want that. And then the only other thing that you need to really kind of be thinking about that has totally changed my view on this is if you're saying this, then here's what I would say to that. All right, so let me say that again. If you're saying this, then here's what I would say to that. So let's say somebody says, you know what, Brian, this sounds great, but the money is a little bit of a challenge. I say, all right, well, tell me, is there anything else besides the money? No, actually, that's pretty much it. Then what I usually do is I get into like a story and tell about some other stuff and kind of empathize a little bit where I've been in a situation where the money was a challenge for me and I was able to get past it, okay? And then when I'm done with that empathizing story, I then say this. So listen, John, if you're saying that you want to be able to do this, but the money's going to be a little bit tight right now, and you're really not sure if it's going to work for you in terms of the budget, but you definitely like it and you're open to trying to make it work, then I'm saying I'm open to making it work too. We were originally talking about X dollars. Let's just say it's $1,500. We were originally originally talking about $1,500. We can break that down into some installments of, 3 installments of 500, or maybe 4 installments of 300, or, that's not right, 4 installments of 400. You get the idea. We can break that down into some different installments. We don't have to have it where we can have an initial deposit right now. We can have the first installment not even go until next month. We can do all kinds of things, but if you're saying that you like what you hear and that you want to be able to do it, it's just that the way that the current finances are set up now and what it is that I said are a little tight, then I'm saying let's work something out and see what we can do. You see that? If you're saying this, then I'm saying that. What that does is it takes out the inner conversation that's most likely going on in their mind, but you're bringing it on the outside. And when you do that, people are most likely, in my experience, are like, oh yeah, that's actually what I'd like. And then I'll say something like this. Well, tell me, they're like, yeah, that's exactly right. It's like, all right, well, tell me what you can afford. Like, what's good for you? I don't say afford. Tell me what does work for your budget. That's what I say. Tell me what does work for your budget. You told me that, $500 a month for 3 months doesn't work. Tell me what works for your budget. And they think about it and they're like, you know what? I can do $225. Okay, let me do some math on that. I can't do $225 for 6 months, but I can do, how about $225 for 8 months? It's a little bit more, but I can stretch it out like that. Okay, you work with them. You're trying to find some common ground. So that is a great way to be able to, in my opinion, handle any objections that might come up, work through, and I already said handle, that's the wrong term, be able to work through some of the objections that might come up, especially with money. That's one of the big ones, okay? And really be able to come through on the other side. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's something that you can see yourself doing. And as always, feel free to like, share, or comment below. I love to hear what you guys have to say. I personally address and handle any comments that come in, or you can always feel free to jump on our free Facebook group. You just go to facebook.com/groups/reach wider audience. We've got a community of over 100 coaches in there, some really good stuff, 4 countries, 100 coaches, and one solid community where we talk about some really good things and just leverage my experience over the past 17 plus years into an actionable framework that people can take actionable steps and move right away. All right, so you can come join us over there on that, get some straightforward ways to be able to get some straightforward ways, to be able to get your message out to a wider audience, and we would love to be able to see you. All right? In the meantime, my name is Brian Hilliard, saying so long, take care, and thanks so much for your time.